Hello, second period. I hope y'all had a good weekend. Let's go ahead and get started here with today's lesson. Today we're going to be going over dilution. So this is something important to know with a very common product that you might be using to clean your house, or some of y'all have said that your parents have been making you clean your houses a lot. So Clorox is a bleach product, as you know. The main chemical there is sodium hypochlorite, and that's a very toxic chemical. It can kill all types of bacteria and viruses and other microorganisms. And so today we're going to be learning about something called dilution. So dilute means to decrease the concentration of something by adding more solvent, usually water. So whenever you buy these Clorox containers, they're kind of rare now. They're kind of, where'd it go? They're kind of rare now because people are buying them like crazy because they want to clean their houses and be free of coronavirus. But whenever you buy these containers, you should not be just pouring it on your sink or pouring it in to clean your house. You usually have to dilute it. So that means you have to take a small portion of this and mix it with water and put it in a spray bottle or something like that. And then you have a less toxic solution, okay, of bleach that you can use to clean. And so remember also, you should not be drinking this. There's been some reports of people drinking Clorox to protect themselves from coronavirus. Do not drink it. It is toxic and it could kill you. So do not drink Clorox, please. Remember just some vocabulary from last time. If you didn't watch the lesson from last time, you need to go back to the lesson on molarity and watch that, because we're going to be using some of the terms from last time a lot in this video. So remember, molarity is how concentrated something is. A solute is the thing being dissolved. So solute is the chocolate powder we have here. The solvent is the liquid doing the dissolving. That would be the milk. And then the solution is the solute and solvent combined, which would be the chocolate milk right here. So in this situation, the bleach is the solute, and we're increasing the solvent. So we're going to add water to it to decrease the concentration. So we're going from highly concentrated bleach to low concentration of bleach over here. So we have a high molarity of bleach here, a low molarity of bleach over here. Remember, molarity is just how concentrated something is. So if I have a lot of dogs in this pool, there's a high molarity or high concentration of dogs. If I have a let me move this. If I have a low concentration of dogs in the pool, then there's a low molarity or a low concentration of dogs over here. So high molarity, high concentration of bleach, lower molarity, lower concentration of bleach. So we're diluting it. We're adding volume to it, volume of the solvent, which is water in this case, to make it less concentrated and more safe for us to use. So let's do some example problems. Okay, so the equation we're going to be using today is M1 V1 equals M2 V2. So M1 is going to be our initial molarity. Okay, V1 is going to be our initial volume. All right, and then M2 is going to be our new molarity, and V2 is going to be our new volume. So pretty much this equation is saying that as molarity increases, volume decreases, okay? And as molarity decreases, volume increases. So these two things have an inverse relationship, the molarity and the volume. If I increase the concentration of something, all right, I'm decreasing the volume of it. If I decrease the concentration, I increase the volume. So if I dilute something, I'm decreasing the molarity, the concentration, and I'm increasing the volume of it. So making it weaker, because if I have a larger space, okay, with less stuff in it, it's going to be a lower concentration. If I have a smaller space with more stuff in it, it's going to be a higher concentration, higher molarity. So let's go ahead and do an example problem. If you dilute 13.67 liters of a 0.11, if you dilute 13.67 liters of a 1.1 molar solution of lithium chloride to 33.89 liters, determine the new concentration of the solution. So we're finding the new concentration. So that's going to be M2. That's what we're going to end with. it gives us, let's see here, it gives us 3 things. So it gives us V1, our initial volume, it gives us M1, our initial molarity, and it gives us V2, our second or new volume. So now we got to plug these in and find M2. So let's go ahead and do that. So we got 1.1 molar times 13.67 liters, and that's going to give me M2 times 33.89 liters. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to solve for M2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 33.89 liters and 33.89 liters. So that's going to give me 1.1 molar times 13.67 liters divided by 33.89 liters, and that's going to equal M2. That's going to equal M2. So I'm going to plug it in my calculator on my phone, and let's see what that gives me. 1.1 times 13.67, oops. 1.1 times 13.67 equals, divide that by 33.89, and that'll give me a 0.44 molar solution. So M2 here is going to be 0.44 molar. So our new concentration is 0.44. That would be my answer there. So if I want to check my work, I can kind of look at these little trends over here. So I increased the volume. So that means that my molarity had to have decreased. So if I want to check my work and make sure I did it right, I can look at my M1. And then if my M2 is smaller, that means I probably did it right. Because look here, my volume increased from V1 to V2. So if my volume is increasing, my molarity is going to decrease, as we can see here in this trend over here. So I went from 1.1 to 0.44. So that means I probably did it right. That's a good way to check it. Let's go and do one more example problem, and then you can go home, or you're already home because you're in quarantine. Let's do one more example problem, and then you can go home, or you can go to your room and watch TikTok or Instagram or Star Wars, Disney Plus, Netflix, Tiger King, whatever. Okay, all right. So let's go over here. Over here. Where's my other problems? Okay, let's go ahead and do this one right here. All right, if you need to make 350 milliliters of 3.8 molar KNO3, what molarity with a potassium nitrate, that's KNO3, solution need to be if you were to use only 200 milliliters of it. So remember, we have to convert everything to liters. So if I have, all right, we'll do that here in a second. So let's look at what we have in the equation. So we have that, we got that, and we got that. So we are trying to find what molarity with the potassium nitrate solution needs to be if you were to use only 200 milliliters of it. So it says I need to make something. So I need to make something. So that's probably going to be M2 and V2 if I need to make it. So let's go ahead and label this as V2. Let's label that as M2 because it says I need to make it. So it's going to be on the other side of the equation because we're producing it. What molarity would the potassium nitrate solution need to be? So I need to probably be finding M1 here because I'm only using 200 milliliters of it. So that's going to be V1 initial value. So it's like I need to make this stuff. So that's going to be V2, M2, and then M1, V1 are going to be over here. So we're finding M1. Because we're only using 200 milliliters. I need to convert these to liters because we need to be using liters for these equations for molarity. So if I have 350 milliliters of something, okay, the way that you convert this to liters is you move the decimal to the left 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. All right, so it's going to be 0.35 milliliters. Oh, no. It's going to be 0.35 liters, my bad. So 0.35 liters. Okay, you don't really need that 0 there anymore. All right, because that 0 doesn't really add anything new to that number. So move that decimal to the left 3 times to go from milliliters to liters. If you want to go back to milliliters, I would just move to the right 3 times. Let's go ahead and use our equation, M1 V1 equals M2 V2. So we got M1 times 0.2, which is our V1. Because I converted that to liters, I moved that decimal to the left 3 times. 1, 2, 3. All right. And then that's going to give me 3.8 molar times 0.35 liters. So I'm solving for M1 here. So I'm going to divide both sides by 0.2. All right, 0.2 liters. And then that's going to give me M1 equals 3.8 molar times 0.35 liters. And I simply divide that by 0.2 liters. My new answer, so let's use my calculator on my phone, 3.8 times 0.35. And that's going to give me that, and I divide that by 0.2, and that gives me 6.65 molar. So I have M1 equals 6.65 molar. Okay, so let's see here, let's check our work. So we have V2 is bigger than V1, so volume increased. Ooh, we did something wrong here. Volume increased. Oh, no, we didn't do anything wrong. So volume increased. We went from 200 milliliters to 350 milliliters. M2 is 3.8. So if volume's increasing, molarity needs to decrease. So according to M1, I have 6.65 molar, and then M2 is 3.8. So that means I went down. I went from N1 to M2. My number decreased from M1 to M2. So if my molarity decreases, my volume increases. And I increased from V1 to V2, and I decreased from M1 to M2. So I can check my work by looking at these little trends over here. If one goes up, the other goes down. And I did that, so it worked out. Okay, so that's it for these example problems. Okay, if you need help, message me on Schoology, and I'll be glad to help you. There are some questions on Schoology that you need to do. Wednesday, we will go over any specific problems you have with the homework. The last two are kind of tricky. You have to actually use the, I'm not going to show you how to do it because you need to think a little bit, but you're going to use the equations from last week, all right, to help you out with the equation, with the last two problems, or the last three problems. The last two problems on the homework, you need to use the equations from last week to help you out. So make sure that you go back and watch last week's lesson if you haven't already done so. All right, goodbye, y'all. Have a wonderful day. And yeah, that's about it. Message me if you need help. All right, bye-bye. Oh no, that did not do what I wanted to do. How do I stop?